does not care for. I say what ho, this is Brian. Call me Gollum the Evil One, telling tales that can't be told, Gardner. Coming to you from the darkest depths of Mordor, i.e. the Ramble On Tower's Dungeon Studio in scenic Hesper, Ontario. You are listening to Ramble On Radio, episode 64. Ramble On Radio is the only Led Zeppelin podcast on this or any other known internets. Be sure to go to rambleonradio.com for your Led Zeppelin news and any links I might mention during the show. You can subscribe to the podcast through iTunes. If you do, leave a review. Just stop in and leave a review. Give it a star, give it 2 stars, give it 5 stars. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. Go to Spreaker. You can listen to this on Spreaker. You can download it. You can embed it on your own websites. It's Spreaker.com. Spreaker.com. And follow me. Follow Ramble On Radio on Spreaker. And it helps with placement. It's one of these things. And if you get yourself 100 listeners, you can always 100 followers. It helps get you can get the podcast over to iHeartRadio, or it helps. It's one of the things they look for, which would put it in front of thousands and thousands of people. And check it out at Ramble On Radio on YouTube. And I am videoing this on YouTube. And this time I'm just doing a basic QuickTime video off my computer, and I have an idea for later. I know I'm fooling around with this. Last week's didn't work. I went directly to YouTube. Simply didn't work. But I got the week before. I finally got it on. I had to actually remix it down to a smaller file to get it up on YouTube. That's what happened. So but I have a small camera. It's back there. My daughter gave it to me. I forgot all about it. It's a small video camera that she got at a place she worked. I'm going to try it out next week. Maybe it'll make a nice little video. And the advantage of it would be I could move it around and show you some other stuff. So anyway, check me out on YouTube, Ramble On Radio. Within the next few weeks, I will really get that stuff figured out. And follow Ramble On Radio on Facebook, Google+, and Ramble On Blog on Twitter. Go back. All right, so what would you do to save $2? What would you do to save $2? I'll tell you what I did. I did this very week. I bought Led Zeppelin 2, which we will be discussing this week. This is the topic of the week, is this particular CD. Led Zeppelin 2, not the deluxe edition. That's what she looks like, by the way. That's the remaster. So I go to my local HMV. I know they had these. I've been to a number of places. Everybody's got the deluxe editions. Nobody's got the single versions. I decided I just want the single version. So off I go to my local HMV. They have some stuff off to the one side in the main wall. All deluxe editions. $14.99. So I kind of look through them. And I go back to where they had some stuff at the back wall. If you go, I think on Facebook or Twitter, I posted a picture of, they had a big back wall of stuff. When this first came out. So I went back there, they had nothing. I went to the section, they had a regular Led Zeppelin 3. They had 2 of those in the section. They had no Led Zeppelin 2s. They had no Led Zeppelin 1s. So I go back up to the front where the first bit was looking, and I kind of start because there's probably 36. It's three things deep, right? 1, 2, 3 sideways. Facing out, so you got probably about 36 discs there. So I kind of started nosing through it. I'm looking at the 3s actually, and the 3s, they had some mixed in. They had a few non-deluxe. So I actually pulled those out for no good reason other than I pulled them out. And then I pull out the whole section of the 2, and I'm looking through the 2, trying to find just one that's not a deluxe. And the girl who works there comes over. Yeah, I can help you with that. She says, as I'm putting them back, and I says, no, this is my fault. I'm being an idiot. I'm looking for not the deluxe. She says, everything. Well, all we have is the deluxe. She says, I found a couple of non-deluxe 3s in the 3 pile. So that's why I was looking for the 2s. And she goes, no, we don't have any non-deluxe. And I held them up. I still had them sectioned, right? I says, no, here they are. And I showed her the back, because the back is not, in the deluxe editions, you get the inverse cover on the back, right? It's the easy way to tell, although she was looking at stickers when she did it. So I show her the back. I says, no, this is the regular. And she goes, oh, God, we're not supposed to have any of those. And so now she starts doing what I just did. She starts going, I'm going, no, these are all good. Maybe the Led Zeppelin ones, not so much the 2s and 3s. Here's all the 3s. I've looked. And she goes, oh, we got to straighten this all out. She goes, there is some others over here by the cache, but they're all deluxes. They're supposed to be all deluxes too. So we go over to the cache, and sure enough, half of the 3s are non-deluxes, and there's 3 Led Zeppelin 2 non-deluxes, and there's a bunch of 1 non-deluxes in there. Well, now she's and I'm going, about it, relax. People get it. No. This is no good. Oh, this is no good. And I'm apologizing. Sorry, I've just messed up your day. I know. Oh no, this is great. I'm so glad you found this. And that's nice of her. But later that night at the party, she's telling all her friends about this dick of a customer who ripped apart her displays and made her look through. And she spent all day sorting Zeppelin, friggin' Led Zeppelin. So, but she was really great about it. So anyway, I get a non-deluxe 2, and I get to the cache with it, and it's $12.99. I'm walking to the store again. I just spent 15 minutes picking through CDs to save $2 friggin' dollars, and I did this. I'm thinking this as I'm standing at the Booster Juicer next door, buying a $4.50 smoothie that's not even going to make it out of the mall. So much trouble to save $2 friggin' dollars, which leads to the question: why don't I want? Why do I care that much if I have a whole lot of love, rough mix with vocals on CD in the car? Because the only thing I do with CDs now is I keep them in the car, and I've kind of been building up a Led Zeppelin collection of car CDs for some reason lately. Even as everything else is moving out of the car, but yeah, so why don't I want them? Is the question I have to ask myself. And somebody, because we talked about this when it first came out, and I've had a few replies on Facebook, and it has been mentioned that somebody's, I really like the instrumental versions. It really adds something to, it gives you a chance to listen to the music without the vocals distracting your attention. Agreed. 100% right. And found some stuff in there that I quite like. It's not that. And I even mentioned last week, I think, in the Out in the or 2 weeks ago, in the Out in the Tiles, the instrumental version, Bathroom Sounds, I believe they call it on the third album, Deluxe Edition. Go backwards in my brain. What was I thinking? I found some stuff in the drums that you wouldn't have known was there. That he's kind of doing some fancy stuff, and yeah, that's cool and that's nice to hear. But A, I'm not going to be driving down the road to listen to it, and B, I've heard it, I've listened to it, and then I'm just going to go back to the normal version. You know what I mean? I'm not. It's not that I don't like it. It's not that I'm not interested in it. It's not like it doesn't have something of interest there. It's that I know personally, I will probably never listen to the Deluxe Edition stuff on 2 again now that I've done this podcast, unless I actually have reason to listen to it, or I may occasionally go back to the Heartbreaker or Ramble On. The Ramble On rough mix with vocals is actually quite good. It's quite different in many ways, more acoustic, less electric, and I think it's interesting. La La is just, to me, La La's a bit. It's an experiment that is an incomplete experiment. And I was joking at the intro. You heard me in the intro singing the old Partridge Family song, I Think I Love You, over, because it's got that tone and sound. Now, it's both, I Think I Love You, 70 or 71, and this was 1970. So they're going to, they were mocking or they were copying a sound that was popular at the time. And obviously a finished product with these guys would have been much more sophisticated, much more interested. But yeah, I was listening to it last night and I'm thinking, Jesus, were they going to have David Cassidy as the guest vocals in this one? Maybe the David Cassidy session fell through, and that's why they never released it. But it just is that, it's that very early 70s pop tone to it. And it's interesting and it's nice, and I'll never go listen to it again. And I certainly won't listen to it on a long car drive. And the same sort, just kind of goes all along. The Heartbreaker is good. I like it. Interesting. The vocals, Whole Lot of Love is interesting. What he's doing. What is and What Should Never Be. I really haven't picked up much in the way of difference. So, but it's not that I don't like this stuff. It's that it's just a case of, I'm sure it's superfluous for me to have it. Especially as I have it already on MP3. I did buy the MP3s. So although this may be the only album that I really kind of feel that way about the bonus material. The third album stuff I really like. And I would probably, I don't think I'm going to wear myself out on it the next week. So, and in fairness to the band, in fairness to Jimmy Page, who's piecing this all together, Led Zeppelin 2 is a road album, right? We kind of mentioned this last week, but Led Zeppelin 1 they recorded in 18 hours. Of course they're not going to have extra material. But Led Zeppelin 2 is a road album. They recorded it when they got a day off. They went into the studio and did some recording. They, maybe took longer than Led Zeppelin 1, but I'm sure they didn't have a lot of material extra. If they recorded it, they were serious about it, they finished it. That's what happens in road albums. By the third album, now they're going into the studio for a while, they're hanging out, they're enjoying themselves. And you get the time to kind of explore your sounds a bit more, to do a second version of Since I've Been Loving You, that sort of thing. So I'm sure as this goes along, these bonuses will actually get better and better. And Presence would be the one you would worry about, as Jimmy mentioned in an interview he worried about. By the way, I have my Led Zeppelin 2 collection here. There's 8-track, cassette, now CD. First time I've owned Led Zeppelin 2 on CD. And LP, as I mentioned before, and I should have taken this out because I noticed the last time I had the albums out that it makes a lot of noise in the cover. And there it is. And it is very good shape, actually. No, not bad shape, some scratches, but I really never listened to it all that much. Now, but there you go. There's my versions of Led Zeppelin 2. And, I threw this on in the car, the CD, and not the 8-track. Didn't throw that on the car yet. But the CD I did. And I think it was a Lemon song. I was noticing stuff that I had never noticed before. So it's, and it really does sound quite good. Like this album, though, this album was done in the 90s. People would, the audiophiles, I think, would complain that it's overcompressed. It sounds overcompressed. I do think what it is he tones down the guitars a bit, and I think he recorded it with listening to it in headphones in mind. So therefore, he pulled back a little on the highs on the guitars and that sort of thing. And the Lemon song is a great example of a very different Jimmy Page tone. But even Whole Lot of Love and Heartbreaker to a degree, it's not the playing that's pulled back, it's the tone of the guitar that he's cut back a little bit on. And I do think that's what he was thinking, that this would sound better in the headphones. You get the stuff going on in the headphones. And that was something that was in vogue at the time. Much as the Partridge Family was in vogue. It was an odd time with a lot of different stuff going on. So, alright, so, what was I going to say? I was going to tell you something. I went back and checked the video from 2 videos ago, and one thing is very apparent. I really got to do something about my hair. Oh, this is bad news. I'm looking at it now. Ooh, Jesus. But there you go. I know what I was going to say. I was going to say, before I get too far into this, iTunes. I checked some iTunes reviews this week. I went to, I see the Canadian ones, and I checked it, and it was me and somebody else. And I just did it. At the time, I did it because I started telling you guys to. And I held back. I only gave myself 4 stars, I should point out. Although, in fairness, I probably should have dropped 3. Apparently, I gave myself a low rating, though, and I'll get to that in a sec. But I really just, gave it a promo push. But it was also more, I wanted to see what I saw from the reviews. So I put one in more to start the ball rolling and to see what I saw. But I don't see anything because I'm Canadian. I only see Canadian reviews. So there's one other, but you can change what store you're at in iTunes, and then read the reviews from that country. You gotta change it, look up the country, change it to the country, then look up the podcast, go to the podcast, go to reviews, and I can do it. So I found that out this week. So I checked the American reviews. There's 4 of them. Thank you so much, everybody. 5 stars in every one of them. I was blown away. I was really expecting. I was bracing because the internet can be a real nasty place, and if you're going to write stuff on the internet, you have to be really, it takes a little time to get used to the idea that some guy just for fun will tell you you're a dick. He may not even mean it. So and this is an amateur production. And thank you, because you all understood that. Matter of fact, it was kind of sad. It sounds great. That's a great quality. I just have a microphone plugged into my computer here, so it's nothing fancy quality-wise. I do as little extra work as possible. If I had to put 3 or 4 hours a week into making this happen at home in front of the computer, that's why the video hasn't stopped happening, because it looked like it was going to turn into a chore, and I don't have that 3 or 4 hours to do. So anyway, I wanted to thank you all really very much for those reviews. It was outstanding, and I'll be looking some other countries as the weeks go on. My computer was acting sluggish and didn't want to cooperate when I tried to check the UK, but I will check other ones. And I thank you. I thank you so much for those reviews, for your kind words. And I think the fella's name is Lloyd, commented on Facebook that he bought. And if I have it wrong, I apologize for getting your name. I don't have it in front of me. Commented on Facebook that he only heard of these remasters because of listening to this podcast. Didn't even pick it up in the regular media. And he also mentioned the same goes for Jason Bonham's tour, which I believe, I didn't go back and check everything, but I believe he mentioned that in a review. I really want to thank him for that. And he also said, I hope you get some official recognition. Well, I'm pretty resigned to that not happening. I have to tell you that, which is in its way liberating. Yeah, it is what I can live with that. So anyway, I wanted to say that. I wanted to make sure I said it. Thank you so much to the people who reviewed, gave me 5 stars, and I was truly blown away. I was kind of expecting to have to suck it up and read these reviews, and it was great. That was great. I'm glad you're liking what I do, because you sit here, because I think I kind of go, that was kind of cheesy, or that was kind of amateur, and you wonder what people want, Here I am drinking my coffee in front of the computer, by the way. Tim Hortons. Although it's just a mug, it's actually from a Tassimo. We buy the Tim Hortons rings. All right, let's go back to Led Zeppelin 2. I wanted to give myself a break on Led Zeppelin 2 there, because I just wanted to. So, my personal experience with Led Zeppelin 2, this is like last week. I went backwards to Led Zeppelin 2, and it was so much of the sound of this album was so common. By the time I went backwards to it, it was nothing outrageous about it. There was nothing mind-blowing. This was not, wow. And Whole Lot of Love was obviously a song I knew, so I didn't put a Whole Lot of Love on and go, what is this? It's something I had picked up in the background before I ever put the album on. What happened to me with Led Zeppelin 2 was, and I put it on, I listened to it a few times. Oh, that's nice, thank you, it's a nice song. That sort of thing. But as a young guitar player, I was starting to get into the bluesy stuff. And so Bring It On Home caught my attention. And then I was at the old Bramley City Center. We used to have a little political lesson you don't probably want or need, but back in the 70s and 80s even, right through the 80s, Sunday shopping was illegal in Ontario. You could not go to the store on a Sunday. You could not go to the grocery store on Sundays. You could not buy beer or wine. It was a pain in the ass, I got to tell you. It was, but somewhere in the late 70s, they changed the law, modified the law somewhat, so you could have like flea markets on Sundays. Or you could always do flea markets. You always do kind of that, rummage sales, that sort of thing. They changed the law to allow like malls and stuff to set up like a flea market. So the Bramley City Center was a big mall, walking distance from me. Sam the Record Man was there. I bought all my records at Sam the Record Man. And on Sundays, the bottom level of the mall was a flea market. All the stores were closed, but the bottom level was a flea. They'd bring these flea markets. And this guy was selling books, and I found Led Zeppelin 2. And when we did... Now, I went looking for it a few minutes ago, and it turns out this may be the worst day of my life. My wife is right. Oh, man, I have to clean my office. She keeps telling me, and I keep going, my office, not yours. Ignore it. And this weekend she was saying to me, no, you're right. It's your office. I'll ignore it. And I was down there to look for this book. Oh, damn it, she's right. I have to clean this office. Which I hate to do in the sun. You know, nice weather, I don't want to be down in the dungeon. But you know what? You'll notice I'm not actually recording in the darkest depths of Mordor. I'm not actually recording in the dungeon. I'm back up in the boudoir. As much as anything, because I could not fit my computer, my microphone, my iPod on my friggin' desk right now, down in the dungeon. It is brutally... It's awful. So yeah, and I could not find the book. I was going to bring the book up because I told you guys about it during the... when I did collectibles, and but I wasn't videoing it, so I was going to show it to the camera. But for those of you listening, ignore that last bit. Pretend this is the book. I have the book. But anyway, I had the music. It's a sheet music book. It's not kids who think all guitar music has always come in tabs. No such thing in the 70s, and this was probably 79, 80 when I got this. No such thing. It was guitar transcribed in that it was written an octave higher than it's played, or an octave lower. I got to think about this. Octave higher than it's played. So what that does, I don't know if guitar players know this kind of, brings everything like if you look at piano music, there's two clefs. There's 11 lines, and middle C, if you've heard of middle C, it's the line in between the two clefs, is what it is. If you wrote guitar, you would be half one clef, half another, where it's played. So they move it up an octave, and it brings it basically into the treble clef, into the high clef. So this is how this is written. This is written with little dots and, eighth notes, quarter notes, semiquavers, demiquavers, etc., in the treble clef. So I brought this book home and I sat and learned. I know just from this book all the licks of this. The Lemon Song, Whole Lot of Love, Heartbreaker, Living Loving Maid, Moby Dick, Bring It On Home. I know the licks in those. Not that I did at one time learn this entire solo of Heartbreaker. I listen to it now and go, I can't believe I could play that. But I could play it. I could play it straight. I can't do that anymore. But yeah, so I know all the licks, and I suspect I fooled around with What Is What Should Never Be. Never really learned it. Because when they show you the chords, they show you the open chords, like you're playing, as if you're playing Annie's song or something. Whereas he doesn't play down there that often. He's playing up the neck. He's using forms of chords up the neck and stuff. So things like What Is and What Should Never Be and Ramble On, I didn't get through this book. I just didn't. That was above my skill level. How's that? Although I could probably sit down and do it now because it's really a knowledge thing, right? I know what he's doing, and that what it provides you with is the chords and the bass notes of the basic notes in the little melody parts. You could probably piece it together pretty quick if you thought. But at the time I was incapable of that one. But anyway, I ended up having the headphones on. And Bring It On Home to death. Bring It On Home is the one I really loved from this particular perspective. It was the first really kind of straight up blues, with that style, boom, ba-doom, 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 of anything that I'd ever played, and I remember being shocked at how easy it was. Jeez, that's so easy. And then, you'd hear other stuff and go, that sounds like the same thing. And then, and this is how, you learn how to play guitar, really. But so a lot of my experience with this album is not so much as a listener, it's a student of guitar studying it, trying to figure it out, learning the licks. To me, it's a very heavy lick album when it's not really, like Whole Lot of Love's got, slide guitar and chorus and the different stuff going on in the bridge. What Is It That Should Be is a beautiful slide solo. Even the Lemon song's more of a chord pattern than a lick. So much stuff going on. So there's a lot going on in this album that's not lick-based, but to my mind it's always been just a pretty straightforward lick-based album. And I think a lot of other people see it that way, and I think a lot of other people are wrong. A couple of notes on it that I made listening. I wanted to think about. Thank you. Listening to this version, listen to it on the headphones at work, listen to it in the car. Really surprised. The harmonies stuck out. Really beautiful harmonies in there. And I wondered who did them. Was it John Paul Jones or John Bonham? Guessing not Page. I'm thinking it was John Bonham. It really, because they do say he was a very good singer. And so I'm thinking it was him, but I don't know for sure. It could have been Jonesy, but it's very pretty harmonies, and it's clearly not Robert. That's the thing that struck out to me. I always just kind of assumed Robert doubled up the vocals, but you listen to it, no, that's somebody else, and that's a pretty voice. That's a nicely done vocal harmony. And that's something that really shines out in this new edition. The new edition, as you can see here, I'm bouncing back and forth on my screen, but anyway, there you go. Which doesn't sound so clear on the 8-track or the cassette. I'm showing the YouTube folks this, by the way. Oh, what the heck? We're here for fun, right? So anyway, I wanted to go, let's go into the deluxe edition. The deluxe edition has, I should go over the whole thing. Side 1, from the album, this is the actual setup. Now, I should go to the 8-track. I should screw you all up and do the 8-track. You know how this would work really well? If I could friggin' read it. You guys in the YouTube world, just hold this for a minute. It's so, I'm doing this here, trying to read this. Should have brought my glasses. Whole Lot of Love, Thank You. Whole Lot of Love, Thank You, the Lemon song, Heartbreaker, What Is and What Should Never Be, Living Loving Maid, She's Just a Woman, Ramble On Part 1, Ramble On Part 2, Moby Dick, and Bring It On Home. So interesting that it goes Living Loving Maid, Ramble On, Moby Dick, Bring It On Home, but Heartbreaker and What Is and What Should Never Be are separated. Heartbreaker and Living Loving Maid are separated. What Is and What Should Never Be is moved from the 2nd song to the 5th song. Heartbreaker's from the 5th song to the 4th song. And Thank You and Lemon Song are then flipped. That's on the 8-track. That's how. Then that's that's not like a reissue 8-track. That's from the 70s, I promise. The cassette, which I'm thinking it was an 80s version cassette, by the way, has the actual running order of the album. And here is the running order of the album, the official Led Zeppelin 2 running order. Whole Lot of Love, What Is and What Should Never Be. I'm reading right out of the thing, you can see. Lemon Song and Thank You. Side 2, Heartbreaker, Living Loving Maid, She's Just a Woman, Ramble On, Moby Dick, Bring It On Home. How many people knew the words, in brackets, She's Just a Woman, go with Living Loving Maid? I just always called it Living Loving Maid. And I never... I've probably noticed that before, but it didn't stick in the register, and... but that's interesting on the 8-track that I'm going to have to give that a listen to later. Interesting on the 8-track that Living Loving Maid and Heartbreaker are split up. It'll be interesting to see how Living Loving Maid comes across after What Is and What Should Never Be. That'll be a very interesting... I will report back on that. I wish I'd have noticed that before. It might have been something worth speaking of. On the other hand, I have all the Zeppelin 8-tracks. And running order might just be a good theme down the road. Yeah, I'll be looking for something in July. Once this is all blown over, between this and the next set of re-releases, I'll be looking for some themes. So maybe 8-track running orders, maybe an interesting one. Okay, anyway, so the deluxe edition, what we get is Whole Lotta Love rough mix with vocals, which is whole lot of love. It's before they add a lot of the fidgety, it's the basic backing track. It's the actual backing track of the song, but they haven't got the slide in the solo. They haven't got most of the bridge in. All the overdubs aren't really in yet. And the vocals are different. And the vocals are, I've said this previously, the vocals are interesting because they're different, because he doesn't sing a chorus so much as he kind of runs off, so, he kind of goes, la la la, and he doesn't do the straight, give me a whole lot of love, give me a whole lot of love, which is kind of a traditional way to do a song. And what he does in this rough mix with vocals is kind of the way he treats songs down the road. After this album, they start moving away very much from the traditional verse chorus song. A little bit of it in the 3. You get it with rock and roll, but not nearly as it's starting to disappear. And this is part of that exploration. That maybe is the most interesting thing about that Whole Lot of Love, and how much, without all the extra stuff in, how much it flat out grooves. They really catch a groove, and that's what underlies that whole song. Everything else is extras. Everything else is superfluous in a way to the groove. That groove, and that's in rock music always. Just that groove, and ride that groove. That's good music. It always is. It always appeals to people. What is and what should never be, rough mix with vocals. I've listened to this number, and I'm not sure I picked up anything different than the regular. I'm sure it's there, and it may even be obvious, but I have not picked it up. Maybe if I had the deluxe edition in my car, I might have picked it up. Maybe that's the problem I'm having. Thank you, backing track. This is one of those instrumentals, and it's a pretty song, but it needs words to really be. Otherwise, it's just. But as has been pointed out on the Facebook page, go to the Facebook page, leave your opinions. Go to Ramble On Blog on Twitter, leave your opinions. Find me on Google Plus and speak to yourself, really. I just don't do Google Plus. I'm there. I never wind up there. But anyway, this has been pointed. You do hear stuff that you hadn't heard before in Thank You, in the backing track. And that's true. Heartbreaker, rough mix with vocals. I should have taken the solo from Heartbreaker for my intro. That would have been good. Anyway, Heartbreaker, rough mix with vocals, different solo. There is some change. There's some different vocals. It's actually quite a good cut. And it's interesting to hear this done differently. Living Loving, this one is really interesting to me. Living Loving Made You Just a Woman backing track. Just the backing track. And again, yes, you pick up some of the stuff in the music. You go, this is the song the band pretty much declared they don't like. I think both Page and Plant have more or less said it's the one song they don't like in the Zeppelin canon. They never played it live. Their disdain for it is well known. Yet here it is. Here it is. I'm not sure what I've always liked it, actually. I've always thought it was one of the better songs in this album. But I have no idea why they don't like it. But they don't dislike it enough that they wouldn't put the backing track on. How's that sound? How is that for a backhanded compliment? Okay, that's on the screen, not my nose. Ramble On, rough mix with vocals. It's a very different version of Ramble On. A lot less electric work, a lot more acoustic stuff. Coming out of verses and stuff, they do things touch differently. It's very interesting. It's very growing on me very much. I very much like the Ramble On. Moby Dick backing track. This is Moby Dick more or less without the drum solo. The drum solo edited out, which means it's about a minute and a half long, and it's really just that lick and then the guitar work. And it's an interesting without the distraction of the drum solo, it's an interesting look at it, but it's not something you would, you're not going to play it at parties and stuff. It's just one of those. Okay, I've heard it. I may even use it once in a while here or something like that. But and La La, I've already talked about La La a bit. There's about 6 parts to it. They're moving all over the place with it. It really sounds like an experiment, a bunch of pieces they're putting together, and something they decided somewhere along the line, no, this isn't going where we thought it would. Or maybe somebody said, that's crap, are you kidding me? But very 1971-ish. It would have been interesting to see the finished product, what they do with La La. But they never, obviously they never did. And again, like I said before, when you're running from studio to studio, you're cramming it in between shows. If at some point you decide, this isn't working, you don't have time to make it work, right? You can't force that. You say, okay, that's not working. Move on. Maybe we'll get back to it. Maybe we don't. We never got back to it. That's the way it works with these guys, right? And that's the album. That's the extras. I'm not going to tell you don't spend the extra $2. I'm not going to tell you waste half an hour of the poor girl who works their time. I just was so unprepared to buy the extra songs. I really was in this case. Won't be true for the next one. Won't be true for 3. I haven't got 3 yet, by the way. I'm really kind of holding out for July when my birthday comes around and the box set. So I'm not inclined to want to run out and buy the CD if I'm going to get the CD of the box set. But I will. I do have the I do have the iTunes. I do have it on my phone. I do have it on my iPod, and I will be talking about it next week. How does that grab you? I wanted to say the Led Zeppelin. I talked a bit last week about Father's Day, and the other kids throw some Led Zeppelin my way. Yeah, my daughter did. She bought me Led Zeppelin 1, the albums. It has not arrived from Amazon yet. Amazon Canada is way off the mark on these albums. They've really screwed up the distribution of this stuff. Whether orders were far exceeded expectations or whatever. The rumor is 4 and Houses of the Holy will be getting the treatment. Not all 3, not in 4 Houses of the Holy and Physical Graffiti. At the end of this year, looking at the rollout of this, looking at and knowing that 4 will be the most popular album of the bunch, and looking at how hard a time they're having meeting orders now for the vinyl. I think it's inconceivable that they add physical graffiti. I mean, a bonus physical graffiti is going to be 3-4 vinyls, and I don't use that in the hipster term. I just mean actual round things in the box. So you throw that in with Led Zeppelin 4 as a 2 album, and holy jumping Jesus, they can't keep up with this demand on these 3 albums. How are they going to do it for those 3? So expect. I think looking at it, really expect Led Zeppelin 4 and House of the Holy to come together. Really expect Physical Graffiti to hit in February as part of a 40th anniversary rollout. That's what really seems likely to happen, doesn't it? Don't you think? But anyway, it's been ordered, Led Zeppelin 1. I'm looking forward to getting it. I really want to put it on and listen to it a few times. So I will probably somewhere down the weeks be reviewing it as an album. I should point out, in July, I'm going to be taking 2 weeks away. Not actually going anywhere. Don't rob the house. I'll be here, but I'm taking a holiday, and I'm taking a full holiday. I'm shutting it all down. I'm going to not do this. Barring major news or catastrophe or something, I will not be doing this. I will not be doing the writing. I will not be doing any of my blogs or anything. I'm literally going to tune out the world for 2 weeks. I'll post pictures on Facebook and stuff, I'm sure. But so probably I'm going to think this through. 2 more, and then so we'll talk about 3, and then we'll have one last week before holidays. Maybe we'll talk about summer holidays and stuff. Maybe that's a good theme. Led Zeppelin on your summer holidays. And then I'm going to take my summer holidays. So, I don't know. I just want to make sure you guys know that that's coming. But that is it for number 64. Thank you again for your reviews. Thank you for following me on Spreaker. Check out rambleonradio.com for notes on this week's podcast, Led Zeppelin news and reviews, and any links mentioned in today's podcast. Follow Ramble On Radio on Facebook, Google+, and at Ramble On Blog on Twitter. Talk to me on Facebook and Twitter. You can subscribe to Ramble On Radio through iTunes. Leave a review. I so appreciate everybody who did. Follow me on Spreaker. And check it out at Ramble On Radio on YouTube. This will be up. I'm pretty sure this will work out fine. Thank you for listening to Ramble On Radio, episode number 64, and keep it coolin', babies.
I mean, if I listen to it now, I go, whoa. Oh, I know, it's a fantastic. Switch off the internet.